Hello all. Welcome to today's session on Gen BI with Amazon Q in QuickSight. Let me start off by sharing my screen here. All right. Hi all. This is Karthik Tharmarajan. I'm a senior QuickSight solutions architect. Been with AWS a little over 2 years now. I'm super excited to be talking about Gen BI capabilities within QuickSight and the integration with Amazon Q itself. So I think we can get started with today's session here. All right, I would like to start off by sharing some statistics around what prevents data-driven decisions. So this is something that is put together by Gartner. According to their survey, it sounds like the number one impediment to data and analytics success is the lack of data skills and staff shortage, right? So 68% of analysts who really work on building dashboards and sharing insights spend 68% of the time doing anything other than finding and sharing insights, which is data reshaping or cleansing the data, putting together data for decision making, things of that nature, right? Which is really not their core role or responsibility. And 75% of business users really don't have the skills, are not confident with the data that is being presented. So that also kind of hinders in the data-driven decisions. So from AWS perspective, this sounds more like a software problem, which certainly can be addressed. And that is where Amazon QuickSight can help. So basically, Amazon QuickSight, for folks who are not aware, is a unified BI service which operates at hyperscale. So Amazon QuickSight is a unified service, like I mentioned, that delivers modern dashboard for interactive analytics, paginated reports. You can also have embedded analytics for consuming insights directly in your applications, and Q for asking questions in natural language. Now organizations can consolidate and migrate away from maintaining multiple legacy BI systems for different needs, and thus eliminating complexity. QuickSight is purpose-built on a serverless architecture that scales efficiently and instantly to hundreds of thousands of users. With no software or servers to install or manage, customers can lower cost by eliminating investments in unnecessary resources. Now, the third differentiator is the ability to provide out-of-the-box AI ML capabilities. We started off with the forecast capability, which was powered by the underlying random cut forest algorithm. We also had features like surfacing insights by looking into the fields and columns of the dataset, anomaly detection. We also launched QuickSight Q back in 2020. With all these framework and the pioneering features that we had, it was just an organic integration with Amazon Q to bring in generative BI features within QuickSight. And finally, with usage-based pricing, customers can reduce spend by simply paying for what they use. So no long-term contracts or hidden costs for extra service. A testament to QuickSight's strength and growth is our 100,000 strong customer base that spans industries and use cases. Well, as I mentioned in the earlier slide, QuickSight is a unified BI service. So I want to dive a little deep on what we mean by unified. Of course, QuickSight brings a complete interactive dashboarding experience which works on any kind of structured data. Now, creating dashboards in QuickSight is fast, and the service includes scale and performance to serve any workload. So this is a basic use case that can be accomplished using QuickSight. Now, the next key feature is the ability to embed insights. So AWS caters to builders, so it won't be a surprise to learn that QuickSight is a popular choice with developers creating web apps that need to seamlessly integrate analytics capabilities. So QuickSight does the heavy lifting of discovering data insights, visualizing, and answering questions of data, so developers can focus their time and effort on their unique value propositions. The third aspect is paginated reporting in the cloud, which enables users to deliver highly formatted reports. Reports can now be scheduled for delivery as PDFs and CSV exports as well. Paginated report can help deprecate legacy reporting systems and consolidate dashboards and reporting use cases cost efficiently. Users can now view the same source of truth across both dashboards and reports and don't have to decide between them. With unified authoring, there is no new learning as well. Like any other service within QuickSight, Paginated report is serverless and it auto scales. So there is no need for additional infrastructure or software management. So with Amazon QuickSight Q, we push the boundary of BI with ML-powered NLQ. So QuickSight mission is to make it easy for end users to gain value from data quickly and with ease without going back to IT or tech team for answers to questions. Amazon QuickSight's Q enables everyday users to ask questions of their data in plain English. QuickSight's ML model interprets these questions and intent to come back with visuals to answer those questions. Q also supports forecasting questions to understand what may happen in the future for up to 3 measures simultaneously, and also ask why questions to identify key drivers to changes in the data and quantify contributions by each driver. So all of these features are already in place. We had launched Q as a framework back in 2020 and further enhanced with features like forecast and why capabilities back in 2022. A point to note is AWS long-standing commitment to AI and ML, and that shines through in QuickSight, where we first launched Q, like I mentioned, which was already using large language models or LLMs back in 2020. Today, AI is a dynamic space, especially around LLMs, and we are always working in AWS to find useful new ways to help customers. That's why AWS recently launched the Bedrock LLM service to enable developers to easily incorporate LLM technology into their apps without becoming ML experts. Another example is Code Whisperer, which automatically generates undifferentiated code for developers. We have only scratched the surface of what's possible here, and using AI and ML, especially LLMs, to simplify customers' lives will continue to be QuickSight's investment priority. With that said, I would like to dive a little deep on what kind of capabilities are we providing using Amazon Q within QuickSight. So we bring 3 experiences to QuickSight customers. First and foremost, AI accelerated dashboard authoring, which can help business analysts quickly build dashboards and reports. So this is completely catered to authors or business analysts who will be creating their own content. The second feature is AI answered questions of data, which informs or enables users to make business decisions, primarily catering to business users. Think of it as mostly ad hoc querying capabilities, which sits on top of your dashboards that is shared with your end business users. It is very similar to what you have been using with QuickSight Q, but more advanced features have been added by integrating with Amazon Q. And finally, AI-assisted data storytelling enables business users to discover and share findings from their data to drive team decisions. So this is a huge new feature that we launched, which enables sharing insights more intuitively, and it provides a much formatted structure. You will be able to see that as part of the demo as well. Now let's dive a little deep into each of these 3 features before we take a look at the demo. Now for authors, within the authoring space, we have launched 3 capabilities. One is the ability to build visuals. So you don't have to really drag and drop columns or click on fields within a data set to build a visual. Now you can simply provide narrative prompts, giving instruction as in what kind of chart you want to build, and QuickSight Q will be able to provide or build that visual on your behalf, and the authors can simply add that back to the analysis, which in turn is going to improve the productivity, and also the overall time that it takes to build the dashboard can also be reduced. The second capability for authors is the assistance in building calculations. We have heard this from a lot of our customers that QuickSight has a large set of inbuilt functions, be it mathematical functions or string or date manipulators, table calculation functions, and it follows a very unique syntax that needs to be that the user needs to be aware of. Now, by integrating Generative BI feature powered by Amazon Q, authors can now easily provide narrative prompts to build their own calculations. And finally, making any edits to the existing visuals can also be provided using Amazon Q. Now, if you want to change the chart type, for example, let's say you want to change it from a bar chart to a line chart, you can just give a narrative prompt and QuickSight Q will be able to change those, make those changes or edits. You can do conditional formatting, any kind of property edits that you want to do on a visual can be carried out using narrative prompts. So these are the three features that authors can leverage as part of the integration with Amazon Q. Now, moving into the to the business user space, so we have certain feature enhancements that we are going to provide as part of integration with Amazon Q. First and foremost, the ability to provide executive summaries. Now, as an end business user who is consuming the dashboard that is put together by the author, it'll be nice to have some kind of starting point. So if you have, say, 10 visuals on the dashboard, now the end user is kind of lost as in where to start, what am I looking at. Now, with a click of a button, the end users can now get an executive summary. The executive summary is based off of the visuals presented in the dashboard, and it will provide a nice narration of all key insights and highlights the major findings and anomalies for the end users to get started with. The second feature is the powerful Q&A experience. Like I mentioned earlier, the ad hoc user query experience, right? So earlier with QuickSight Q, you could ask a natural language question and then Q would come back with a visual response. The experience is going to be very similar, but this time around you're going to get multi-visual answers, which will also have highly summarized insights complementing that, and it provides a broader context. So it's not just one visual response that's going to come back, but it's going to come back with multiple visuals, which is going to give more context and correlation for end users to get better insights off of those ad hoc queries. And finally, we are also now able to support vague questions. Earlier the questions had to be really pointed. For instance, what is the sales figure for December 2023? So instead of that, you could just ask, how is my sales doing for the year 2023? It's a more vague question, and QuickSight will still be able to interpret that question, the intent behind that question, and come back with a more contextual response. Now, going back to the storytelling feature, this is again targeted towards the end business users. Now, it's all great to have ad hoc querying capabilities. You are able to drill down and slice and dice and get to the bottom of what exactly the problem is. Now, if there is a way to surface those insights and share effectively with other folks on the team, it makes it a little bit more easier for your decision making, and that's where the storytelling feature is really handy. You can now give narrative prompts, ask for recommendations using Amazon Q, and it is going to come back with a compelling story which has a structured format, starting off with an introduction. There's going to be multiple sections below it. It's going to derive insights from the visuals that you are going to provide as input to the story. It can come from a single dashboard or it can go across dashboards. It's going to come back with a nice summarized insight and also recommendations. This document is an editable document, and it also gets refreshed as and when the underlying data is refreshed. So it is not a static document. It can be updated based on the underlying data. So all of these features can certainly be explored as part of today's demo. And I think with this, we can dive into the demo portion itself. All right. So what you're seeing here is the QuickSight console. So I have logged in as an admin. So you would see a lot more options on the left panel. However, if you happen to be a reader or a business user or an author, you would see slightly different options on the left panel here. So this demo being like an end-to-end demonstration of how Amazon Q can be enabled and how you can leverage that both in the authoring space and reader space. I'm just going to start off by connecting to a sample data set. So I have a data set put together for this demo. I'm just going to connect to the data set. And get into the data preparation screen. So on the data preparation screen, you have quite a few options. You can enhance the data based on your business needs and use case. For this demo, we are just going to work off of this the standalone CSV file. However, if there is a need for you to add or extend this data by bringing in additional files or tables from any other data source or data set, by all means, you could do that here. Now, if this data looks good, the next step is to actually get into the authoring mode. So I'm just going to click on publish and visualize. And we are presented with two options. This is again part of the unified BA experience I was talking about earlier. So the same data set can be used for building interactive dashboards and also paginated report. For this demo, again, we are just going to stick with building a dashboard. So I'm just going to use the default option here. And this is our new interface. Folks who are familiar with the earlier UI or the interface that we had for authoring, that has undergone a change. This is our new interface, a more intuitive interface, which will let end users to build dashboards with a lot more easier clicks, and it's more easier to find options and things of that nature. Now the new feature is the build visual button here on top on this blue banner here. Now when I click on the build visual button, now everything is powered using the topic. Like back in QuickSight Q feature, we had to have a data set and then we created a semantic layer called as topic, which sits on top of the data set, and topic is what powers the QuickSight Q framework. So it is very similar in this scenario as well. So we'll have to create a brand new topic. Which sits on the new data set that we just brought over. So this is going to actually build the topic for us. In the interest of time, I'm going to switch back to an analysis where I've already got the topic created and prepped up. So I'm just going to change screens here real quick. All right, so it's the same data set. I just made an geospatial hierarchy change in the data preparation screen, and I also have the topic linked. So as an author, I can typically start off by clicking on certain fields here, and the autograph mode within QuickSight will start recommending visuals. However, let's try to explore the generative BI feature for authors. I'm going to click on build visual. And this prompt here looks very similar to what we had with QuickSight Q. However, some changes that we brought in here is the suggested questions. Again, for someone coming in straight into the analysis mode, not having much context or idea about the data, Amazon Q can now help you by giving you some suggestions. This is the old topic that this was a new topic that we're trying to build. So now back onto the screen here. So let's start off by giving some prompts and see how we can build visuals by providing some natural language questions. I'm going to start off by saying sales by city and product as a map. So now Amazon Q is going to interpret this question. It also gives the interpretation that it did for this question. So it did try to interpret this as total sales by city and product. And because we explicitly said this needs to be a map, it came back with the points on the map visual. So this looks good. We now have the distribution of sales across various cities by product. Let me go ahead and add that to the analysis. Now to extend on this dashboard build here, let's also take a look at the distribution of profit. So I'm going to ask forecast profit by month. All right, so it did come back with the forecast. However, the forecast looks a little flat. Nevertheless, I'm going to add this to the analysis. But what is nice to have is the profit ratio. So far we have seen the ability to build visuals using natural language. Now let's explore the ability to build a calculation or a logical field, a field that is not existing in the data set, but probably something that I want to create and use further in my dashboard building process. So let's test that out. I'm going to create a profit ratio column. I'm going to use the prompt again to build this calculation. You can actually type in the syntax here if you know what kind of functions you want to use, like I mentioned earlier. But let's actually put Amazon Q to our use here. I'm just going to say profit ratio. And now it's going to look at the data set and build the function or the calculation for me. So it did interpret what I was trying to ask here. Profit ratio is nothing but, profit over ratio, and it aggregated both of the measures for me, sum of profit over sum of sales. All right, I already have this column created in my data set. So I'm just going to cancel this off and ensure I can see profit ratio as a field here. It looks like it did not create. Let me do it again. Click on build. Okay. All right, this one looks good to me. Let me go and save this. So now I have a brand new field that I can now use in building other visuals. I'm going to use the same prompt again, but I'll be referring this new field that I just created. So let's ask a question like profit ratio and sales by product as a scatter. So now we want to see the distribution between profit ratio and sales. Again, profit ratio was a new column that we created. Again, we use Amazon Q to build that calculation for us. All right, so this distribution does give us some additional insight. There are products which are more profitable. However, there are certain products which have high sales but not all that profitable. So for now, let's go ahead and add this to our analysis. Let's add one more visual here. This time I'm going to ask a vague question. Products worth the most. So this is not a pointed question. This is something more generic. So let's see how this is being interpreted. So it did interpret this as profit ratio by product. This is a good start. However, I was looking more at other ways of visualizing this, right? So in the did you mean section at the bottom, it not only tries to give us hints that, hey, there are other ways of answering this question. This is just one interpretation of the question that you just asked. But did you really mean like seeing total sales by profit, or did you mean total profit by product, right? In this context, I think it's relevant to see total profit by product. So I'm just gonna use that question instead. And let me go and add this to the analysis. This is good. So what we just saw here was the ability to create visuals using narrative prompts, ability to create calculations using narrative prompts. Now the third feature is really the ability to edit visuals. Now let's try and explore that feature as well. So there is this Q button here on the visual menu. So every visual comes with this visual menu. Now you can use Amazon Q to actually do those edits. The manual edits that we used to do in the past can now be done using prompts. So let's try and test that out here. I'm going to say change to table, meaning change this bar chart to a table. Go ahead and add region column and also color profit from red to green. Awesome. So I was able to change the chart to my liking. I added a brand new column, and I also did a conditional formatting based on the profit column. And it was smart enough to understand anything which was below zero, like goes into negative, is red, and then it is coloring everything in positive as green. So this is great. This is good start. I like what I'm seeing here so far. And as an author, as you saw in this demo, we were able to put together 4 visuals and a calculation in less than 10 minutes, I would say. So so the key idea is to assist authors in speeding up the process of getting to insights by helping them along in creating visuals, editing visuals, and also creating calculations. Now, if you like what you're seeing here, you can go ahead and publish this as a dashboard. I already have a dashboard that I've published for this demo. I'm going to go back to my favorite folders and bring up the dashboard here real quick. The reason I'm using a pre-built dashboard here is I do have additional visuals created. So in the interest of time, I just created the top 4 charts, but you can see this dashboard has a lot more visuals. I just added this to highlight certain features that the end users or business users can leverage using Amazon Q. Now, the top 4 visuals here, that's exactly what we built in our prior demo. Now, for an end user or a business user coming into this dashboard, there are quite a few visuals here. Now, I'm not sure where to start, what I'm looking at, and that's where the executive summary feature really comes in handy. So on the top right, again, under the build dropdown, you have 2 options. Let's first explore the executive summary option. Now, just clicking on this button, QuickSight Q is going to summarize key findings from this dashboard. So now you can see, now hovering on this insight, it is going to really highlight the visual from where it got this insight, right? So for end users, this gives a level of confidence saying, hey, this is all coming from the dashboard, from the visual that I'm seeing. It is not really manufacturing anything outside of this context, right? So clicking back on these insights will highlight the visual from where Amazon Q has created this narration or summary, right? Again, I think this is going to be a great start. At a glance, you kind of get the key highlights on this dashboard. Again, looking at the summary here, the products contributing to profit seems to be Alchemy and Site Analytics. However, from sales perspective, there is a mismatch. So we need to further dive down and see what's really going on. Again, those kind of insights are not readily available from this dashboard. That's where the ad hoc query capability is going to be helpful for the end users. We can see Contact Matcher is really doing bad in terms of profit. So let's try to dive a little deep and see what's happening here. I'm going to use the prompt here on top to really get started. Now for the end business user, again, it's the same experience like what we provided for authors. There are suggested questions that are pre-populated. You can also take a look at the underlying data set. It's going to give you some context about the data as well. So our main interest now is to understand what's happening with Contact Matcher product. So let's start off by asking certain relevant questions. Sales and profit for Contact Matcher in APJ. So earlier experience would have been one single visual interpreted, and then it would have come back with a visual supporting that that question. But this time around, you can see I have multi visuals that is coming back as a response, and also on the left, it is now creating a summary or a narration of its findings. So basically, it is trying to correlate multiple visuals and trying to highlight certain trends that can be useful in understanding what is happening with sales and profit for this product called Contact Matcher. Again, as we saw in the executive summary, highlighting on key insights here will highlight the chart or the visual from where these numbers are derived. So it is just trying to highlight here saying, hey, there's a negative trend all along. And the visual here at the bottom, which is really the raw data, the order level details making up this trend. So now you can really understand what kind of orders are being processed and what is causing this negative trend in profit. All right, now let's ask a vague question from here. So maybe we want to understand the regional level sales. So let's ask a vague question again. I'm going to ask worst performing regions. So let's see how it is going to get interpreted here. All right, so on the interpreted as section here on top, it is again viewing this whole vague question from a sales perspective, but I was really looking to understand this more from a profit perspective, because that's what has a negative trend. This is good. Again, you can see it is coming back with a bunch of visuals giving more context and this nice narration on the left hand side. But I really want to see this from a profit lens. So let me change this question and take a look at how profit is performing. Again, a very similar visual what was put together for sales, but this time around it is trying to interpret this based on profit. I'm just waiting for this narration or the summary to come up on the left hand side. So we believe this will be a nice feature for end business users, really giving more context. They can ask, they don't have to ask more deeper questions to get to the bottom of it. Just by asking vague questions like we saw in the earlier example, it's coming back with multi-visual response and really trying to get to the bottom of what you're really trying to find here, right? And the key takeaway here is the nice summary of the insights, which will help you understand the trends and what's really happening with the data. All right, so with all these ad hoc querying and findings, I think it is useful to consolidate this as a story. So the storytelling feature is going to put all these features together, come up with a compelling document that you can use for your team meetings or for decision-making process. So now let's take a look at that feature as well. All right, so now I'm going to go to the data story feature here. So you will be presented with two options. You could build a scrollable page, think of it as a PDF, or a slideshow more like a PPT presentation, right? So let's just go with the scrollable page. And on the bottom right, I have the prompt where I can actually give instructions as in what kind of story I want to put together. So I'm going to say, build a story finally. Okay, build a story explaining profitability. So I basically want to look at the profitability trends. And I'm also going to use the LLM models to give recommendations, right? So give ideas about how sales managers can increase in their regions. So now I'm just giving instructions as in try to build a story explaining profitability trends that we saw so far. I think I have misspelled profitability. All right, so let's go ahead and click on build. But before we do that, we are going to give it some visual inputs. So I'm going to click on the add visual button. Again, like I mentioned, these visuals can come from multiple dashboards. I'm just going to select the visuals that we use from the demo dashboard. And you can also go across dashboards if that's your use case or need. All right, so now that we have selected the visuals, let's go ahead and click on build. It is still processing. Excellent. Let me go and click on build. Again, just as a reminder, the generative BI feature is currently in preview. If you already have a QuickSight queue enabled for your QuickSight account, you can very easily turn on the generative BI feature. It's free of cost. So as long as you have a QuickSight queue, you should be able to play around with these new features currently in preview. Now it's going to come back with a compelling story. Like I mentioned, it has a structure and a format. It's going to come back with the title. So everything is suggested by the LLM under the hood. The key thing to understand while using generative BI is it's a nice collaboration between the QuickSight's analytical engine, which is used for processing metrics and facts coming off of your data set. So QuickSight's analytical engine is still being used for finding insights and summarize and getting to those insights itself, right? However, the recommendations, the summary, the narration, all of that is powered by LLM. So the idea is to reduce the hallucination that can happen due to the use of LLMs, because the facts and the metrics is still powered by the QuickSight analytical engine. You are just using LLMs for making recommendations and summarizing and presenting data in a more well-rounded fashion. For now, I'm just going to click on keep, and I'll just quickly scroll through the structure of the story that has been put together here automatically. It has a good introduction, and then it is trying to pick certain visuals that we provided as insights. It is highlighting the findings of these insights in a nice summary here. This document is editable, so if you find something that you feel like you need to highlight as part of the summary, you can very well do that. I'm just scrolling through certain sections here. For instance, let's say you want to highlight this section here, so you can just highlight that portion of the summary and then click on bold. Again, very similar to the rich text experience that we had for the insights that we provided earlier. It's going to be a similar experience here. You can also change the theme of this document to your liking, which best fits your use case. I'm going to scroll down a little further. It's also summarizing the next steps, like it's also able to provide some recommendations. If you want to change the conclusion part or any section in this document, you can also do that. You can add your own content. I'm just going to change this paragraph to bullets. Again, LLM is able to do that for us. And this is an editable document, like I mentioned. You can go and add more content. Something like this. So yeah, you don't have to completely rely on what is being provided here. You can also, because you're the best judge of your data, you know what you're talking about. This certainly gives you a great start, giving you a nice structure, key findings, summaries, but you can fine tune. And then once all looks good, you can preview. And now this becomes a shareable document. You can now start sharing this with other folks on your team. It's as simple as that. All right, so with that, we come to the end of this demo. So again, just to quickly reiterate, generative BI feature within QuickSight caters to two personas, authors and readers. So in the authoring space, you can now use that for building visuals, for building calculations, and also for editing visuals while you're in the dashboard build process. Now for business users or readers, you can use that for generating quick executive summary of the dashboard. You can use the QuickSight Q prompts for catering to your ad hoc reporting requirements, like the questions we saw for the contract matcher product. You can ask vague questions, which comes back with multiple visuals and a nice summary. And finally, bringing all this together is the storytelling option, which will let you share your insights. Thanks again for taking time to join me and Maddie today. Hope this was exciting. If you have further questions, feel free to use the QuickSight community forum to ask questions and collaborate with other users using the QuickSight Q forum.